Good evening and welcome to another rollicking edition of Pretend Football Now. My name is Syke Manders and with me is Maul. Maul, this week has truly been unique.
Absolutely, you're right. I mean, this was the first week that you and I have shared in a little bit of Movemberness. And it also is the first week that the playoff picture truly has come into focus. There are teams that are jockeying for position. Some major trades have gone on. And we've also seen some real big contenders fall off the map.
Absolutely. We're going to go over all of that, including with our playoff picture segment. So let's get right into the action. Join me in my operating room, my friends. The doctor is going to employ the ever-sharp Syke scalpel. A tale for your consideration. Desperately clinging to a narrow second place in their division, what measures must a desperate coach enact? Well, Coach Onyx took a trip to the Flapjacks Dome in a road game to earn himself some breathing room against the riotous underlings in their division, the Wrath of Platypus and the Detroit Robocops. Coach Crawford paraded out his secret weapon, creaking with age and ancient beyond reckoning, the dreaded lich known as Peyton Manning. What a shock it must have been to see so powerful a sorcerer upon the opposing field. No stranger to adversity though, Coach Onyx rallied his team and onto the battlefield they shuffled. The Maplewood Bacons truly defined sizzle, with big numbers put up by Derek Carr with 19 points, and the KC defense spitting in the wizened countenance of great-great-grandpa Peyton Manning with an additional 19. At every position, save two, the Bacons dominated the game. They racked up an impressive 106 fantasy points total. This big road win gives the Bacons a one-game lead over the Detroit Robocops and the Wrath of Platypus. However, the only disappointment that he had on the bench was the perennial on the field, not on the bench where he belonged, the perennial underperformer Jordan Matthews, which really only got a sniff of the pigskin with a disappointing 5 points. Now, lulled into a false sense of security by their acquisition of the aforementioned undead dying corpse animated by black foul magic, Peyton Manning, the Flapjacks surely anticipated a rousing victory, but they were overpowered by the delicious swine flavor and the victory of the Kevin Bacons. Peyton Manning and his most powerful spells failed him, leaving him drained and vulnerable and having to be pulled from the game altogether. A ghastly -7 points was the final total from the Elder Manning. Vincent Jackson had literally nothing to add to the game with 0 points, and the defense, similarly, literally, was not on the field, resulting in another goose egg. A valiant, Le Garret Blanc put up 15 points against the unstoppable Sizzle, but it just wasn't enough. Jameis Winston warmed the bench with a paltry 12 in the quarterback spot, but that wouldn't have been enough to turn the tide and the greasy flood of defeat. Surely, Coach Crawford is cursing the name of the Lakehurst Dirigibles, while Coach Medeiros has gone on record, quoting Steve Urkel, "Did I do that?" Truly, a one-sided drubbing, and a true treat for those longing for a breakfast-themed game of pretend football. And fresh on the heels of Syke Scalpel, we're going to launch into Playoff Picture. Let's get our paintbrushes ready, shall we, Maul?
Absolutely.
Well, let's start right away. After an 0-2 week, the Flapjacks find themselves in a dead heat with the Stinky Pinkies atop Division A.
Yeah, who would have thought that would have been the case in point a few weeks ago when the Stinky Pinkies were just way out of the picture?
Absolutely.
It seems that this is really tightening up into the home stretch.
You know, there were a lot of people that called the Stinky Pinkies the whipping boys of Division A, and that is clearly, I don't know if it's a case of nerd rage or just good old-fashioned football. Pretend football.
I would agree. I think Coach Dennis Adesso did a really nice job, and for a rookie, he's actually flexing that muscle. He may actually take Division A. It's a good chance.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's move on with Division A. The not very goods are 4 games back, but they could still steal that division by winning out and seeing the division leaders lose each of their final 4 games. Fat chance, I know, but that's really what Coach Swanson's going to have to cling to.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that the Beast has his players in a bit of a frenzy trying to get back into the divisional race, and I just don't think that the bye is a possibility for him.
No.
The good news is, though, is that he has actually made it into the playoffs. He's managed to clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Still, great news, I'm sure, for Coach Swanson.
Absolutely.
And possibly for the Funchies as well.
Well, the Funchies is actually...
He's not here, is he?
Is he?
No, I don't think he's... Okay, that's good. He gets... I don't like when he gets in.
He's dicey.
He's absolutely dicey. So, where the drama ends, however, these three teams really, they punch their tickets right into the playoffs. The Meatballs find themselves 5 games back, and officially, their 2015 season has been deliciously sauced.
Yeah, it's sad for Coach Mateo after last year's debacle. We all thought that he was going to have a comeback season after drafting all those New York Giants. You know, it seemed like it was a no-brainer. His strategy was clear, but obviously it failed for him.
Well, merry 2015 season to you, my friend. Hopefully we'll see you again if your spirit has not been shattered into thousands of tiny, tiny pieces. Let's move on to Division B, Paul.
Well, absolutely. In Division B, the Sharpsville Gravy Legs went 1-1 last week, and they lost half a game on the suddenly surging Lakehurst Dirigibles.
Yeah.
I mean, Sharpsville, who are the only team to clinch a playoff spot in this division, are in the driver's seat. They hold a 3-game lead with only 4 games to play over the Blips.
You know, it's like I always say, you can never underestimate Coach Mike Cooter. The guy is devious, the guy is cunning, and he'll put you on your ass if you let him.
Yeah, absolutely. He really is a real technician doing the things that need to be done, and he's never afraid to pull the trigger on a trade. I mean, earlier this season, there was the trade where he acquired C.J. Spiller from those Lakehurst Dirigibles. There was a lot of uproar throughout the league that it's a poor deal, but it seems as though it hasn't hurt him out too much. He's actually still in the driver's seat, still in control in Division B.
Absolutely.
Coach Medeiros, though, could see his Dirigibles make up some big ground this week when they head to Sharpsville for a really, really big matchup in this late season. Dogs, Doomsday Destroyers, had a rough run 1-1 week themselves, and the Ball Breakers actually went 2-0. Coach Dina Grassman, or I should say Dina Bruno, is on a bit of a tear right now.
Absolutely. I mean, the Ball Breakers are just one of those wild card teams, you know? One week they'll do terrible, one week they'll just smash everybody in front of them. They really are the Ball Breakers. It's what they do.
That's absolutely right, and they are still right in the thick of it. This division is so tight. The Ball Breakers are still only 1 game behind the Destroyers and 2 games behind the Dirigibles, with 4 games still to play. Nobody is safe in this division except for the Sharpsville Gravy Legs. We could still see either one of those 3 teams miss the playoffs.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great division, absolutely. Division C, let's move on. This is a 1-1 week for the Bill Brunoists and Coach Kylan Swanson. 3 games up in Division C. We only have 4 games left to go. The Vagina Flowers also wilted their way to a 1-1 week, but they are firmly rooted in the playoffs and still could take the division with a little bit of luck.
I think everybody is kind of pulling for the Vagina Flowers. They bowed out of the league last year, but they ended up coming back in, and now they're really in the tooth and claw battle with the Bill Brunoists. Coach Kylan Swanson has really taken the Suck It Parade to a whole new height, and I think the Smack Talk is actually working out to his favor. He's really intimidated his way into leading the pack in that division.
Absolutely. Coach Kylan, he's a bully. He's got a really alpha male personality. He will go in there and he will try to bully the other teams. But you know what? They're not intimidated. I think that this particular year, the Suck It Parade, he's kind of overplayed his hand.
I would agree so. I think the Vagina Flowers are in a prime position to make up some ground, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if they took the crown in Division C.
Well, anything can happen, as we know in that particular division. Well, let's talk about the Catskill Cleavers. The Catskills, they're in a horrified and panicked hush after watching their Cleavers put up a dismal showing. The big trade, was this week. Obviously, we interviewed Coach Pfeiffer, and, there was a lot of grandstanding, but it seems to have come to naught.
You would have thought that with all the deals that he made and all the bluster that he was spewing here on our very show, that you would have seen a whole lot more out of his team. But he ended up scoring one of his lowest point totals ever. and only outscored one team this week. And I would think that this is a sign for something to come. If he continues along this path, he definitely will not be in the playoffs.
Well, again, anything can happen, though. You can never count out blood-splattered Catskill Jack.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, Coach Pfeiffer definitely does a really good job of making sure that everyone on his team has sharpened their axe and gets in the game
Absolutely.
and really is working.
I have heard that Catskill Jack has a fresh coating of blood for each game. Where does that come from?
There are some that say that it's, animals, and others say that it's just tree sap. They call it blood, but it's actually tree sap. But no one is absolutely ever really sure. I mean, the bottom line is the Catskill Cleavers still have a shot to make the playoffs, and a good shot at that, because the Moontown faithful are really disappointed with what they're getting out of their buckets.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that entire mess, I suppose. The Moontown faithful are calling for the head of Coach Shooter Cook.
And rightfully they should.
Absolutely. After seeing their Moonwalkers drop 2 games again and watching their playoff hopes dim to a tiny flicker.
And just candlelight there in Moonville, and it surprises me. I thought that this was the year they were going to make some major moves.
Sure.
A former champion, I would have thought moving to a brand new stadium would have been the catalyst to really push them over the top.
Maybe it was just the Moonwalkers fans, they have a lot of demands. And they're a very vocal majority of that particular division. As far as, was it the new stadium that perhaps ruined his playoff chances this year?
It could very well have been. I mean, there was, like you said, a lot of demands coming out of the Moonville Coliseum.
Right gloves for every person in that stadium.
Yeah, and buckets of wings for everyone. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I thought they were going to surprise a lot of people and really climb their way back in, but it doesn't look like they're going to.
No, absolutely does not. Well, Buckets & Co. are 3 games back, and they need a lot of luck to climb back into this thing. So hopefully, that'll happen. We'll see.
And speaking of luck, let's talk about the team that has been maybe the most lucky or potentially the most skillful of all the teams in the league.
Totally
the Cooter Institute Beavers. These Beavers have been putting on a show. They have dominated the division, long since locked up their title. Who doesn't love to show their freshly shorn beaver if they could? I mean, congratulations, Coach Cooter. You have done a fantastic job managing your team and keeping them in first place.
Sure. I mean, you gotta wonder if a little bit of Mike Cooter is rubbed off on Coach Greg Cooter.
Well, it could very well have been. I mean, these two guys have normally, often will trade back and forth. And there has been some murmurings of some type of collusion going on in the background.
Again, let's quash these rumors. There is no sort of collusion that goes on in this league. There's just none. Absolutely none.
I would agree. But as far as little drama as there is at the top of this division, the back end of it is wrought with drama, dripping with tension. After a 1-1 week, the Maplewood Smoked Kevin Bacons are currently in second place at a just porous 8-12.
Absolutely.
Okay, they're followed very, very closely by both the Detroit RoboCops and the Wrath of Platypus, who are both sitting at 7-13.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, the Bacons and the Cops are both on losing streaks, while the Platypuses are on one of their best winning streaks of this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as everyone knows, I'm a very, very close personal friend of Coach Bob Flipper. And, dealing with the man is hard. When the RoboCops, there was so much hope going in. They had just gotten the stadium up after the horrific shootings that had happened there. And now to see the Platypus, the team that they threw into the weeds the entire season, come back and absolutely smash them this week.
Yeah.
That certainly, it's got to definitely dent the ego a little bit.
Well, they're certainly going to stick in the craw of the RoboCops. Luckily for them, they have a good opportunity to fight their way back into it.
Sure.
The Kevin Bacons are in the driver's seat. They have games over the next 2 weeks against both the RoboCops and the Platypi. Should they win both of those games, they're virtually a lock for the playoffs.
Absolutely.
But if the RoboCops can win 3 or the Platypi could win 3, this division could go over sideways and right onto its ear, and we could see a lot of things change.
Absolutely.
This one, much like Division B, looks like it's going to go down to the absolute wire.
And you know what? Who is more excited to see it go down to the wire than we here at PSBN?
Yeah, that's right. PSBN, we are growing out our mustaches in excitement for what's going to go on at the end of this playoff season.
All that excitement. There's a lot of mustache growth.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Absolutely not.
Don't even really know how to stop.
Can't, won't.
No, not. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very special edition of the Malls matchup this week. The Catskill Cleavers lose.
Well, Maul, it's been another insane week of pretend football. Let's have your word of the week, shall we?
Friendship.
Is that Mortal Kombat friendship, or?
You have no idea.
I don't. Well, as mysterious as this ending is going to be, from all of us here at PSBN, this has been Pretend Football Now.